Hey everyone, so this story is obviously about a domestic violence relationship that I went through in 2005. It is a true story, it is exactly what I went through, um, and I do not tell a lot of people, but because it's becoming quite common, there's a lot of people out there that kind of want to know what that's like and, kind of what to look out for and everything else like that. So in 2005, I met this guy. Met him off the internet. I can't remember exactly how, but that's how we did meet. Anyway, I went to go meet him. First impression wasn't so great. Um, he basically, the first line that he didn't even say hi to me. The first line that came out of his mouth was, well, I'm not going to say it on YouTube, but I'll just say, do you want to sleep with me? Is basically what he said. Um, And I just looked at him like, excuse me? I was going to walk away, but his mate said, look, he's only joking and whatever. So I kind of brushed it off and said, all right, whatever. And, you know, something said to me that I should have just walked away kind of right then and there, but I didn't. There was just something about him that made me fall for him, I guess. He was affectionate, which is what I'm like, and that's kind of what I like as well. So maybe that's what kind of bring me in. I'm not too sure. Second night, he got drunk again, um, and he ended up kissing another girl in front of me. When, I was like right there, and he's just like kissing. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're meant to be with me, and you're like kissing someone in front of my face. Whatever. I'm such a forgiving person that I forgave him the second time. Stupid, I know. Ridiculous, but I did. Ended up just staying there with him because, I had a lot of issues at home, so, I stayed at his house and with his family and whatever. It seemed to be going okay, like there was no problems or whatever, but the next day, like, I checked his phone and he realised what he had done to me and he was worried that I was going to leave him. So when I seen that, I was like, alright, so he kind of realises that he cheated on me like the second day, but, and he's kind of worried that I'm leaving him and everything else. But anyways, so it went from, from there it was alright, like nothing bad was happening in the relationship, like everything was going pretty good actually, pretty normal. A couple of months passed and then one day we were like standing in the street and we were just like having a normal conversation like how I'm talking to you now, and he just slapped me for no reason. And I'm thinking, why did you just do that? Like, why did you slap me for no reason? And he just looked at me with a serious face. He's like, because I felt like it. I'm like, you felt like slapping me for no reason? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. I was kind of concerned when he did that because of just how random it was, and people don't usually just do that. So I brushed it off again. Yeah, I kind of should have worked out that that's how it was all going to start, but I've never been through anything like that before, and I didn't know much about that type of stuff back then anyway. Anyway, as months went on, things started to get a bit more full on. Like, he used to stand behind me, like right behind me when I'm on the computer talking to my friends. And do you know how annoying that is when someone's standing right behind you when you're trying to do stuff? Like, you just tell them to go away, but he'd never go away. He was always just watching what I was doing. And then it started from, I can't talk to friends, particularly guys. Like, I wasn't allowed to talk to guys at all. I wasn't allowed to talk to my family at all. He always went through my phone to see whose numbers were in there, and if someone did call me, he'd smash my phone. And then it went to him having to follow me to the shops all the time. Like, I wasn't allowed to go to the shops by myself. He had to be there at all times. If a guy looked at me, he would go ape shit at them, like full on ape shit. If people were like in his way, he would tell them where to go, especially even if it was an old lady. He did that once when an old lady was in the way. he told her to F off, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And she goes, you need to leave him. Like, even she could work out what the situation was before I could even work it out, before I even went through more. And then it went to him locking me in the actual house. Like, we lived with the family, but his family never did anything about it for some reason. Like, they were able to lock the door from the inside of the house. Like, you needed a key to get outside of the house, and I didn't have that key. Only he did. So that's what he did to me when he wasn't home, and I couldn't escape, because that's what he knew I was trying to do. And I couldn't just sneak out the window or just go in the backyard and like climb a fence, because I'm short and I don't know how to climb over things. So I was kind of like stuck there, and like, you know, day and night I'm like trying to work out how how the hell am I going to get out of this joint? I could not work it out. And then it went from that to him throwing things at me all the time for no reason. Like, why are you throwing things at me? Like, I had a fan thrown at me, okay? And that fucking hurt. Sorry for swearing, but that hurt. His fist in my face, and then went through the wall, massive hole in the wall. Black eye. Machete to my throat. Not being able to, you know, go out. He hid my ID on purpose one night when I was planning to go out. I couldn't find my ID anywhere, and he threw it behind the TV. And like weeks later, I found my ID there, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know where that. I didn't know it was there. I didn't put it there." Yeah, right. My bank account, he had my card at all times. I wasn't allowed to access my own money. He always took my money out, like on payday or at night. You know, we'd go to the ATM at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he'd go take my money out, and I wasn't allowed to touch my own money. So he was doing that as well. But I could never understand where the rage came from, because I never had a fight with him. I don't sit there and fight with people. So I've got no clue where this even came from. It was just so, like, unnormal, I guess you could say. And he obviously had, like, some sort of issue amongst, like, medical issue. I don't know. Like, no one ever said anything to me about it. Then one week he went off to Bendigo, and well, he actually ran away to Bendigo. He actually told me that he was going for a drive with his mates and he'd be back in an hour or so. He came back a week later. Mind you, I'm like up and down the streets every night looking for him. I went to the police station, and you know, I should have left right then and there, because it was a good opportunity to. I would have been able to take all my stuff and just leave, but I didn't. I stayed there and I looked for him. And then a week later, anyway, he came back. Found out that he slept with someone else, basically. I caught something off him, and then obviously I got cured from it, so don't worry, I don't have a fucking disease or anything. I guess that's what happens when you sleep around with people, like, and then you go sleep with your girlfriend, you go give them something, good on you, you know, deserve a medal. Anyway, he did that to me. I was fully cleared, whatever. He was given antibiotics, and him being a whingy, sooky bitch, kept throwing it up all the time. He just always threw it up. And then, I think after that, I fell pregnant, which I didn't actually know I was pregnant. Like, we weren't trying or anything like that, but ended up having, a miscarriage from him, like, punching me in the stomach just from an outburst that he had, and I lost the baby. So I got that out of it as well. And you know, when you're with someone that's like that, you'll never get out, put it that way, unless you look for help yourself. I had to, well, the first time I escaped, I had to email, what's it called? Kids Helpline. I had to email him while he was asleep and tell him I was in danger and what happened. The cops came and they had to make up a story to get me out of the house. I grabbed some of my things, not everything, because I had like everything with me at that house. And so I took some things. And then from there, I went back to him because he came back to my house and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I love you, I won't do it again." I believed him, I went back. Things got worse, throwing things around, punching me in the face, black eyes, whatever. Okay? From there, my cousin's 21st, I think it was, came up in October 2005. And it just happened to be that night that his whole family went out except for him. And it's quite weird how this all turned out because I totally forgot it was my cousin's 21st. It just clicked to me the moment they all left the house. And it was just like quick thinking. And I'm not good at quick thinking at all. I don't think like that. So it must have been a good opportunity to just take it, risk everything, risk your whole life there, because the risk I had to take was leaving everything I had behind, all my clothes, all my personal like certificates, bills, ID, like everything, just to escape. Otherwise, I'd either be dead right now or really, really fucked up by now. That's personally what would have happened if I stayed with him. Or I would have had kids to him, and then I definitely would have been even more messed up than what I am now. So that's what happened for that, yeah, in October. So I went, sorry, I'm just trying to think about roughly how it all happened. Anyway, so that night I actually said to him, like, "Oh, it's my cousin's 21st, can you drop me off so I can say hi?" And I promised I won't be long, I just want to say, you know, hi, I haven't seen him in like a year or anything like that. And like after he pushed me around, whatever, for a little bit, you know, having an argument over it, he finally took me, walked into my cousin's backyard where all the family was. Mind you, they haven't seen me or spoken to me for a year, so you can imagine all of them. And at that time I had really severe like anxiety, like really, really bad anxiety, so I was really shaky at that time, I remember. And I actually was thinking about going back in the car to him, just because of how used to it I kind of was. But once my family saw me there, they all bolted out the front and chased him away. Well, my cousins did anyway. And that was like the last time that I actually, well, kind of saw him. And, you know, I came home to, you know, nothing. And that was the risk I had to take to get out of that violent relationship. And many girls either don't come out of that relationship because they're dead, or because they just, in general, they can't escape it, because it is really hard to escape someone that has those issues. And, you know, you have to be really careful with it. And I was really, really lucky, I'll admit that. You know, and then eventually he came to my house at night and started throwing stuff at my window, tried to apologize, ringing my house a million times, ringing my mobile a million times, you know. And then the stalking became, you know, on Facebook, and like it was just really, really full on. I had to go get an intervention order against him. That still didn't stop him. He abused me in the middle of a shopping centre when he seen me. Went to the cop station, they said they can't do anything about it because I'm in his location, which really was not fair. So he breached his intervention order quite a few times. And yeah, he ended up just being really obsessive even after that, like for quite a while, and that's what I had to put up with. And then I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder because, like, you know, I kind of zone out and think about it, or I think I'm in that situation again. And and I was also diagnosed with the depression, I was diagnosed with anxiety, I was put on like Valium, antidepressants, which I'm not even on anymore at all, and I haven't been for quite a fair few years now. But I still do have all those things because of him. And, you know, if you are in a domestic violence relationship, then you need to think of a really good way to get out, because the majority of the time it doesn't end good, and then you're left with scars amongst everything else. And, you know, it's not a really good thing to go through. But I just wanted to share, you know, kind of what I went through, what my experience was. And You know, if you've gone through it before or you know someone that is, then comment below, like, subscribe, and hopefully I get to hear your stories and see if we have anything similar there, I guess you could say. Mind you, this guy now as well, he did date someone else right after me, which I'm actually friends with. He did the same thing to her, except they've got a kid together. And you know, they're not together anymore, but there's more to the story, which obviously I'm not going to publicize on YouTube. It's their business, but you know, he's done the same thing, and it's just going to keep continuing, and I don't think it's ever going to be right with him, honestly. But that's my story. You know, the whole domestic violence, you know, against women and all that, you know, whatever, it is the real deal. It does happen. It does happen to people like me. And yeah, so I guess that's why I'm kind of weird with males, and I'm really careful with kind of who I date, who I'm around. Like, you know, the trust there has to be pretty good, otherwise I don't want to know you, kind of thing. But yeah, see ya.